I'm sitting here staring at my Bitcoin investment spreadsheet, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how investing just $100 every week for a year turned into a $7,311.42 profit. That's a 273% return. It's crazy to think that if I had just put that money into a high-yield savings account, I'd have only earned about $135 in interest. That's a huge difference, and it's got me thinking about the power of dollar-cost averaging in crypto. You're probably in a similar situation, trying to make sense of the crypto market and figure out if it's worth investing in. I know I was. Just a year ago, I was hesitant to even touch Bitcoin, but after doing some research and talking to friends who had invested, I decided to take the plunge. Now, I'm not saying it's been a smooth ride. There have been plenty of ups and downs, but the overall trend has been pretty impressive. And the best part is, I didn't have to break the bank to get started. Just $100 a week, that's less than what most people spend on coffee every month. By the end of this video, you'll understand how I made over $7,000 in profit from a relatively small investment, and more importantly, how you can apply the same strategy to your own investments. You'll learn about the benefits of dollar-cost averaging, how to navigate the crypto market, and what to expect from your investments. I've got a friend who works as a financial advisor, and she's always telling me about the importance of having a diversified portfolio. She's right, of course, but it's not always easy to know where to start. That's why I want to share my experience with Bitcoin, and how it's helped me to build a more diverse portfolio. Now, I know some people might be thinking, but isn't Bitcoin risky? And yeah, it can be, but so is any investment, really. The key is to do your research, set a budget, and stick to it. For me, the biggest surprise was how much of a roller coaster the crypto market can be. I mean, there were times when I thought I was going to lose everything, but then the market would bounce back, and I'd be up again. It's crazy to think about, but that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. One thing that really helped me was using a dollar-cost averaging strategy. Basically, that means investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, regardless of the market's performance. It's a great way to reduce risk and avoid making emotional decisions based on market fluctuations. Actually, let me back up for a second. When I first started investing in Bitcoin, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of jumped in, I guess. But as I started to learn more about the market and how it works, I realized that I needed to have a solid plan in place. That's when I started using a dollar-cost averaging strategy, and it's been a game changer for me. The idea is simple. By investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, you can reduce the impact of market volatility on your investments. And it's not just for crypto, either. This strategy can be applied to any investment, really. Drop your biggest debt in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to know what you're struggling with. Are you trying to pay off credit cards, student loans, or something else entirely? Let me know, and I'll do my best to offer some advice or guidance. And if you've already paid off debt, congratulations. Share your story with us, and let's celebrate your success. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually get started with Bitcoin? Well, it's actually pretty simple. There are a lot of different exchanges and platforms out there that make it easy to buy and sell crypto. I personally use Coinbase. It's one of the most popular exchanges out there, and it's really user-friendly. But there are plenty of other options, too. Just do some research and find the one that works best for you. You're not alone in this. Millions of people have successfully invested in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and you can too. It's all about taking that first step and being willing to learn and adapt as you go. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It tells me to keep making this kind of content. And if you know someone who's struggling to get started with crypto, send them this video. I'm working on a new video about how to create a budget that actually works for you, not just some generic template that doesn't take into account your unique financial situation. It's called How to Budget on a Variable Income, the 5-Step Plan. I'll be sharing some of my own personal budgeting tips and tricks, as well as some strategies for managing debt and building wealth. So, be sure to check that out when it drops. In the meantime, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep taking control of your finances. It's not always easy, but it's worth it in the end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. One of the things that's really helped me on my financial journey is setting specific, achievable goals. For example, when I first started investing in Bitcoin, my goal was to invest $100 every week for a year, without fail. And I'm proud to say that I stuck to it, even when the market was fluctuating wildly. By having a clear plan in place, I was able to avoid making emotional decisions based on short-term market movements. And in the end, it paid off in a big way. My $100 weekly investment turned into a $7,311.42 profit. Now, I know that might sound like a lot, but the reality is that anyone can start investing in Bitcoin with as little as $10 or $20 per week. The key is to be consistent, and to have a solid understanding of the market and its risks. For example, did you know that the total market capitalization of Bitcoin has grown from around $1 billion in 2013 to over $1 trillion today? That's a staggering increase, and it's a testament to the power of crypto to disrupt traditional financial systems. Of course, there are also risks involved with investing in Bitcoin, and it's essential to understand those risks before you get started. For example, the value of Bitcoin can be highly volatile, and it's not uncommon for the price to drop by 10% or 20% in a single day. But the flip side of that volatility is the potential for huge gains. For example, in 2017, the price of Bitcoin rose by over 1,000% in just a few months. To mitigate those risks, I recommend doing your research and setting a budget that works for you. For example, you might consider allocating 5% or 10% of your investment portfolio to Bitcoin, and then adjusting that allocation based on your overall financial goals and risk tolerance. It's also essential to have a long-term perspective. Investing in Bitcoin is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but rather a long-term strategy that requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to learn and adapt. Another thing that's helped me on my financial journey is learning from others. I've read books by experts like Andreas Antonopoulos and Safidi Amos, and I've also joined online communities like the Bitcoin subreddit to connect with other investors and learn from their experiences. And I've also been fortunate to have friends who are knowledgeable about crypto, who have been able to offer valuable advice and insights. For example, one of my friends is a software engineer who has been involved in the crypto space for years. He's always been a bit of a skeptic, and he's warned me about the risks of investing in Bitcoin. But he's also been a great source of information and guidance, and he's helped me to navigate the complexities of the crypto market. And I've also learned from my own mistakes. For example, I once invested in a cryptocurrency that turned out to be a scam, and I lost a significant amount of money. But I learned from that experience, and I've been more careful and cautious in my investments ever since. In terms of specific numbers, I've found that investing in Bitcoin has been a great way to diversify my portfolio and reduce my risk. For example, in 2020, the S&P 500 stock index returned around 16%, while Bitcoin returned over 300%. Of course, past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, but it's clear that Bitcoin has been a highly profitable investment for many people. To give you a better idea of how I've invested in Bitcoin, I've used a combination of dollar cost averaging and lump sum investing. For example, I've invested $100 per week in Bitcoin for the past year, but I've also made a few lump sum investments when the price has been particularly low. And I've also used a technique called portfolio rebalancing to ensure that my investments remain aligned with my overall financial goals and risk tolerance. For example, let's say that I have a portfolio that's divided between 60% stocks, 20% bonds, and 20% Bitcoin. If the value of Bitcoin increases significantly, I might find that my portfolio has become overweighted in crypto. To rebalance my portfolio, I would sell some of my Bitcoin holdings and use the proceeds to invest in other assets, such as stocks or bonds. This helps to reduce my risk and ensure that my investments remain aligned with my overall financial goals. Overall, investing in Bitcoin has been a wild ride, but it's also been an incredibly rewarding experience. I've learned a lot about the crypto market and its risks, and I've also had the opportunity to connect with other investors and learn from their experiences. And I'm excited to see where the future of crypto takes us, with the rise of decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, and other new technologies. It's clear that the crypto space is going to continue to evolve and grow in the years to come. In fact, I'm so bullish on the future of crypto that I've decided to start a new series of videos on the topic. It's called Crypto Insights.